The ocean around the research vessel Astra Maris was calm that morning, but there was something in the air that made every person on deck feel a faint sense of electricity. The sun was barely above the horizon, turning the water a soft gold. Yet the scientists and crew were already awake, moving with a kind of quiet excitement. They had been tracking unusual readings for 2 full days, and today they were finally in the right position to begin their descent into the trench. Dr. Kiera Halden stood near the railing with her tablet pressed against her chest, her short dark hair pushed back by the wind. She had spent half her life studying strange signals in the deep ocean, but she had never seen anything like this. Every time the scanners passed over the trench, a strange pulse echoed back. It was rhythmic, soft, and steady, almost like something breathing far below the surface. Kiera felt a shiver, not of fear, but of curiosity. The unknown kept her alive, gave her purpose, and pulled her forward like a strong tide. She watched the water swirl beneath her and imagined the darkness miles below, a place untouched, unseen, and almost completely unknown to humankind. Commander Rafik, captain of the Astra Maris, approached her with his usual calm presence. He was older, with silver hair that shone even in low light, and eyes that always looked as though they were planning 3 steps ahead. "You're ready for this?" he asked softly. Kiera let out a breath that she seemed to have been holding for hours. "More than ready. The readings are getting stronger every hour. Whatever's down there, it's waking up." Rafik raised an eyebrow. "Waking up?" "Rafik, I don't mean alive," Kiera said quickly, though even she wasn't sure she believed her own words. "I mean active. Responding. It's like it knows we're here." Rafik looked out at the sea and nodded. He had heard stranger things during his long career, and the ocean always held secrets far older than humanity. "Then let's make sure we're ready for anything." Inside the main lab, engineers worked around a sleek, silver submersible named Aurora 3, a vessel designed for extreme depths. Every bolt, panel, and pressure seal had been tested and retested. The craft had carried Kiera on dozens of dives before, but today felt different. Today it felt like she was preparing to step into history. Her team, a mix of marine engineers, data specialists, and 2 deep-sea pilots, hovered around screens that showed long lines of data spikes rising and falling in strange patterns. The pulse was there, steady and calm, like a heartbeat through the dark. "It's definitely artificial," said Marin, one of the engineers. He pointed to the waveform on the screen. "Nothing natural pulses like this. And the frequency is too perfect. It's almost musical," another added. Kiera studied the graph. The pulses came every 7 seconds, and each one had a faint harmonic signature, a kind of echo behind the main beat. If someone had shown this to her without context, she might have guessed it came from a machine, or a beacon, or maybe even a ship. But the reading wasn't just strong. It was impossibly strong for something buried so deep in a trench that no recorded vessel had ever reached it. The Aurora 3 was lowered into the water slowly, the crane groaning under the weight. Kiera climbed inside with the grace of someone who had practiced the movement 1,000 times. The submersible's interior was tight but familiar, with softly glowing screens and seats, shaped to fit the human body even under extreme pressure. Pilot June Park slid into the main control seat. He had calm, sharp eyes and steady hands. Exactly what was needed for dives into the deep. His co-pilot, Naya, took her place beside him, her fingers moving across the panels as smoothly as if she were brushing dust off glass. "We're ready to begin descent," June announced. Commander Rafik's voice crackled through the comms. "Astra Maris has you clear. Good luck down there." "Let's make today memorable," Kiera said, unable to hide the excitement in her voice. And with that, the Aurora 3 slipped beneath the surface, leaving behind the warm sunlight and entering the deep blue where light faded into darkness. The first few hundred meters were peaceful. Schools of fish drifted by like silver storms, and long trails of plankton shimmered as the submersible's lights passed over them. Kiera always loved this part of the descent. It was like entering another world, a place where humanity didn't belong but was always drawn toward. As they sank deeper, the water grew darker, until only the submersible's external lights gave shape to the world around them. Strange silhouettes drifted past the windows, creatures adapted to pressure and darkness, moving like living shadows. Kiera watched them with awe, feeling once again how small humans truly were in the face of Earth's oldest mysteries. At 3,000 meters, the comms flickered for a moment before stabilizing. Pressure holding, June said quietly. Visibility stable, energy readings increasing. Kiera leaned closer to her monitor. The pulse was now more than data, she could almost feel it through the hull. A faint vibration brushing against them like a distant drum. "It's stronger than before," she whispered. Naya nodded. "It's definitely reacting to our presence. The frequency is shifting just slightly. It's like it knows we're getting closer." "Huh." Kiera didn't respond immediately. Her mind was racing, comparing this pulse to anything she had studied before. It wasn't a distress signal. It wasn't a sonar reflection. It wasn't geological, and it wasn't human. "Entering the trench," June announced. The submersible nosed downward, slipping into a yawning black opening in the seafloor. The trench walls rose around them like steep, jagged cliffs. The darkness here was absolute. The kind that felt thick, almost physical. The lights barely reached a few meters ahead, revealing rocks covered in strange algae that glowed faintly like stars trapped beneath the ocean. "Unbelievable," Kiera breathed. Then Naya said, "Dr. Halden, look." Kiera turned toward the forward window, and her heart skipped a beat. Far ahead, deeper in the trench, something was glowing. It wasn't the gentle shimmer of bioluminescent life. It was a slow, steady pulse of bright, soft light that expanded and contracted like a living heartbeat. It moved through the darkness in rhythmic waves, reflecting off the rock walls and painting the trench with shifting colors: blue, then green, then a soft white. The closer they came, the stronger the pulse became, and with it, the vibration running through the submersible. It was gentle, not harmful, but deeply strange. It almost felt welcoming. Kiera pressed both hands against the glass. "Something down there is generating this," she whispered. "This is no natural phenomenon." The Aurora 3 descended another 100 meters, and then a shape emerged through the waves of light. A massive structure lay half buried in the seafloor, covered in a layer of sediment but still clearly metallic. Its hull curved elegantly, unlike any human design, with smooth lines and patterns etched into the metal like veins of light, and it was glowing from within. Each pulse of light radiated from small openings along the structure, making it look as though the entire hull was breathing. June's voice came out in a whisper. That's a ship." Naya swallowed hard. "No human ship looks like that." Kiera felt frozen in her seat as she took in the sight. The vessel was enormous, easily larger than any submarine built on Earth. It had crashed or settled gently into the trench ages ago. The edges of the hull were worn smooth, almost polished by time. Strange symbols were etched along its side, faint but still visible beneath the glow. "It's alien," Kiera said, the word slipping out before she could stop herself. It didn't feel like a guess. It felt like the only possible truth. June steadied the sub's position. "We're holding at a safe distance." The glow suddenly brightened, then softened again. The pulse shifted slightly, almost like it was adjusting to their presence. Kiera reached toward the monitor again. "It's reacting to us." They moved the sub closer, until the front lights grazed the vessel's hull. The patterns on its surface pulsed like a heartbeat. But as they approached, the rhythm began syncing with something else. Something strange and personal. Naya frowned at her readings. "Dr. Halden, this is odd. The pulse frequency is matching your biometric rhythm." Kiera blinked. "Mine? Yes. Your heart rate. It's matching your heart rate." For a moment, Kiera couldn't speak. The glow on the hull brightened once, twice each time in perfect sync with her pulse. June adjusted the controls carefully. "Maybe it's sensing life. Maybe you're closest to it. So it's responding. It's almost like recognition," Naya murmured. Kiera didn't know what to say. She only felt the strange pressure in her chest, Not painful, but heavy with meaning. Something deep inside the ship seemed to acknowledge her existence. The comms crackled suddenly. Rafiq's voice broke through the static. Aurora 3. Your readings just spiked. What's your status? Kiera leaned toward the mic. Commander. You won't believe this unless you see it with your own eyes. We found a vessel. An alien one. There was silence. Then Rafiq replied in a tone that was steady but deeply shaken. Understood. Keep your distance and gather visuals. Do not engage. June held the sub steady while Kiera activated the exterior cameras. The screens filled with images of the glowing ship, its curves, its symbols, its living pulse traveling across the hull. As they captured data, the pulse grew even brighter, more intense, until the entire trench was illuminated in soft waves of color. The vibrations grew stronger too, humming through the submersible like distant music. Then, without warning, the light surged in one long, bright pulse. The sub shook gently. Alarms did not go off. Nothing malfunctioned. But every person inside felt a strange sensation, like something had brushed against their minds. A soft whisper of curiosity. Did you feel that? Naya breathed. Kiera nodded slowly. It's not just reacting to our presence. It's aware of us. A new pulse rippled through the hull. Slower, deeper, almost warm. Kiera stared through the window, unable to look away. The wreck glowed underwater like something alive pulsed within its hull, and it was watching them back. The light inside the trench slowly faded after its last bright pulse, settling into a softer glow that drifted across the alien hull like waves of color. The Aurora 3 floated only a short distance away, and everyone inside remained completely still. The instruments beeped quietly. The soft hum of the engines vibrated under their feet. But the three people inside did not move, breathe deeply, or even blink. Kiera Halden stared through the forward window, as if afraid the glowing ship would disappear the second she looked away. Her palms were pressed against the glass, her breath slow and shallow. The strange pulse she had felt earlier settled into her memory like something ancient, whispering her name. June Park kept the sub steady, his hands hovering near the controls but not touching them. His voice, when he finally spoke, sounded like it was trapped in his throat. It's still active. Whatever that light was, it wasn't a malfunction. Naya checked the energy readings again and again, as if expecting the numbers to change every second. It didn't harm us. Nothing spiked. Nothing overloaded. It was almost gentle. Kiera nodded slowly. It was like a greeting. None of them responded for a moment. The thought was too strange, too unbelievable. A greeting? From a ship buried deep in a trench? From technology older than anything humanity had ever discovered? And yet, nothing else explained the soft, warm energy that had moved toward them like a slow wave washing across sand. Kiera finally exhaled and touched her chest. Her heart raced, but it wasn't fear driving it. It was wonder. It was the thrill of discovery. It was the electric awareness that whatever they were seeing at that moment could change everything humans understood about life in the universe. June tapped a switch. Commander Rafiq is waiting for an update. We should send the visual logs. Oh. Yes, Kiera said, tearing her eyes away from the ship with effort. Send everything. He needs to see this right now. June transmitted the data package to the Astra Maris, though the connection crackled and faded a few times. The pulse from the ship seemed to affect communications, softening and bending the signal every few seconds. After a minute, Rafiq's voice finally came through. Aurora 3. The visuals are received. The entire crew is watching. We're stunned. To be honest. Are you still stable? Completely stable, Kiera said. No internal issues. The ship reacted to us, but not in a hostile way. Rafiq hesitated, something rare for him. Do you think it's safe to get closer? June and Naya both looked at Kiera. Everyone aboard the research vessel trusted her instincts more than any piece of equipment. Kiera turned toward the glowing hull again. Deep inside her chest, she felt a strange sense of calm. The ship didn't feel threatening. If anything, it felt patient, like something that had been waiting far longer than she could imagine. We approached slowly, Kiera said. No touching the hull. No sudden movements. But yes, I think we can go closer. June nodded and eased the controls forward. The sub moved gently through the water, every motion smooth and careful. As they neared the vessel, the glow along the hull brightened just slightly, pulsing in slow waves that reflected off the trench walls. It sees us, Naya whispered. Kiera shook her head softly. It's sensing us. Maybe it can detect life. Or maybe it's searching for something familiar. At 10 meters distance, they stopped again. Up close, the alien hull looked even more mysterious. The metal was smooth but patterned with thin lines that branched across the surface like rivers seen from above. These lines glowed brighter than the rest of the ship, running from one end of the vessel to the other. Some were straight, others curved, and some connected in spirals. They reminded Kiera of old maps, circuits, or even veins. Naya scanned the camera view. It looks organic. Not alive, but grown. Built with some kind of living technology. June pointed to a section near the center of the hull. Those markings look almost like writing. Indeed, faint shaped symbols, unlike any human alphabet, were etched along the metal, glowing softly with each pulse. They were smooth, curved, and elegant, almost like waves drawn by an artist with a steady hand. Kiera recorded every angle she could. If these are words, they might explain what this ship was doing here. Suddenly, the pulse shifted. The glow brightened, then dimmed, then brightened again 3 times, in quick succession. Kiera leaned forward. That pattern again. It's different from before. It's responding to our distance, Naya said. It's reacting to us being close. June's hands tightened on the controls. We stop here. Any closer and we risk touching it. I don't want to damage anything. Sighed. Kiera nodded. Agreed. But even stopped, the pulse changed again. The glowing patterns along the hull began to shift slowly, like the ship was rearranging its own lights. A section on the side began to brighten, far more intensely than the rest. June pulled the sub slightly backward. Something's happening. The bright section expanded outward until it formed a large oval shape. The metal around it shifted smoothly, no grinding, no breaking, no sound at all. The surface rippled like liquid metal being gently pushed aside. The oval opened. Kiera's breath caught. It's an entrance. Inside the opening, soft white light poured out, illuminating a corridor that seemed to stretch deep into the vessel. The walls inside had the same patterned lines as the hull, but they glowed with a calmer, softer tone, like a peaceful heartbeat. June froze, staring. It's inviting us in. Naya touched the edge of her console. Dr. Halden, that's impossible. It's been here for who knows how long. Why open now? Kiera had no answer. But every instinct inside her told her that the ship had waited a long time to wake, and it had woken because of them. More specifically, it had woken because of her. That strange sinking with her heartbeat still echoed in her memory, as if some part of the ship had recognized her. She forced herself to breathe slowly. We're not going inside. Not now. Not without proper equipment, safety checks, and a plan. She smiled faintly, but this confirms that the ship is active, intelligent, and aware. June let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Good. Because I definitely wasn't ready to explore an alien hallway today. Naya laughed nervously but kept her eyes on the glowing entrance. Kiera reported everything to Rafik. The ship opened a section in response to our approach. It's an entryway of some kind. We need a second dive with more equipment. Rafik replied. Return to the surface. We're preparing a deep access team. June guided the Aurora 3 upward. But as they rose, the pulse from the ship changed again, softening, slowing, as if quietly watching them leave. Kiera turned back to look at it until the trench swallowed it in darkness. A strange weight settled in her chest. Not of fear, but of connection. Something inside that ship had acknowledged her presence. Something ancient and quiet had listened to her heartbeat. By the time the sub surfaced and the hatch opened, the entire crew of the Astromaris was waiting. The deck was filled with scientists, technicians, and engineers, all talking excitedly, their voices buzzing like a hive. Word had spread fast, an alien vessel beneath the ocean. Rafik helped Kiera climb out of the sub. "You did well," he said softly, but his eyes showed a mixture of awe and worry. "The footage. It's beyond anything we've ever seen." Kiera brushed a strand of wet hair off her forehead. "It's alive in some way, or at least aware." Rafik nodded. "We're assembling a small team for a second dive." "You'll lead it, of course." "Of course," she said with a smile. For the rest of the day, the ship buzzed with activity. Engineers checked diving suits, reinforced equipment, and calibrated new sensors. The communication team worked on improving underwater signal stability. The science team studied every detail of the footage frame by frame. Kiera spent hours reviewing the pulse patterns, trying to understand the rhythm. Each time she watched the glow sync with her heartbeat, she felt the same strange emotional tug in her chest. Naya approached her in the lab later that night. "You okay?" Kiera looked up, surprised. "Yes. I'm just thinking." "About the ship?" Kiera nodded. "It reacted to me, Naya. Not just to life in general. To me, specifically." Naya leaned against the table. "Maybe you hit the right frequency. Or maybe it needed someone calm. Someone open. Whatever it is, you didn't imagine it." Kiera smiled weakly. "I know, but I still want to understand why." June entered the lab then, holding 3 cups of hot tea. "Late-night scientists need fuel," he said with a grin. Kiera accepted a cup gratefully. The steam warmed her face, and for a few minutes, they sat quietly, sipping tea and staring at the glowing screen showing the alien ship. June broke the silence. "Do you think there are other ships like this out there?" Kiera looked at the monitor thoughtfully. "Maybe. But this one came here for a reason. And I think tomorrow we'll learn why." That night, while the crew slept, the ocean around the Astromaris remained calm. But deep within the trench, the alien ship pulsed quietly, almost patiently. Its glow drifted across its hull like soft breathing. It had waited for a long time in silence and darkness. It had been alone for longer than human history remembered. Now it was awake. And above it, the humans it had sensed, the ones it had been meant to meet, were preparing to return. Kiera lay in her bunk, unable to sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the light shifting along the alien hull. She felt again that strange synchronization. That moment when her heartbeat and the ship's pulse became one. It wasn't random. It wasn't coincidence. It was connection. A soft hum vibrated through the floor, the ship's engines adjusting position, but Kiera barely noticed. Her mind was too full of questions, possibilities, and hope. The wreck glowed underwater like something alive pulsed within its hull. Tomorrow, she would step inside. The next morning came with a quiet gray sky, and the gentle rocking of waves against the Astromaris. The crew moved across the deck with an energy that felt stronger than caffeine or sleep could ever give. Every person knew that the day ahead would be remembered for decades, maybe even centuries. Today, humans would step into a vessel not built by human hands. Kiera Halden woke before her alarm. She opened her eyes slowly, letting the soft hum of the ship settle her racing thoughts. For a moment, she simply lay there, listening to the gentle sound of water outside the hull. Her mind kept drifting back to the glowing ship deep in the trench, to the way its pulse had synced with her heartbeat. Even now, she felt that memory inside her like a quiet echo. She sat up and ran a hand through her hair. She didn't feel afraid. She felt ready. When she stepped onto the deck, she found June, Naya, Commander Rafik, and 3 more scientists already preparing the equipment. 5 deep exploration suits lay on the deck, their metal frames gleaming under the gray light. The suits were bulky but designed for flexibility, with strong lights attached to the arms and shoulders. Each had a curved helmet that gave nearly full visibility. June handed Kiera a tablet. Final checklist for you. Everything is ready. The suits are tested, the signal boosters are stable, and the Aurora 3 is fully prepared for a second dive. Naya added, we also added new scanners that can handle unfamiliar materials. If the inside of the ship has something strange, we'll at least get some readings. Kiera nodded, her heart beating a little faster. Good. We take things slow. No touching anything unless absolutely necessary. Rafik stepped forward. He looked calm, but his eyes reflected the importance of the moment. Your team is the first human group to enter an alien vessel. Be careful. Be observant. And trust each other. Kiera smiled softly. We will. After a short briefing, the team climbed into the Aurora 3 once more. The submersible felt familiar now, like a second home. But today, it seemed to hold a new kind of tension, a quiet anticipation in the air. Kiera sat in the rear seat, wearing her suit with the helmet resting beside her. June and Naya took their usual positions at the controls. The other 2 scientists, David and Solana, sat across from her, both staring at the interior walls as though trying to calm their nerves. June started the engines. Aurora 3 descending. The surface broke around them, and the world outside turned into swirling blue. Kiera watched bubbles drift upward like tiny bright stars fading into the distance. The descent felt slower today, even though the speed was the same. The anticipation stretched each second, making every passing meter feel heavy with meaning. Once they reached deeper waters, the sunlight disappeared completely, and only the sub's lights illuminated the dark. Strange sea creatures drifted past, their shapes twisting gently in the water. Some glowed, some moved like floating ribbons, and some vanished the moment the lights touched them. Solana breathed out softly. Even without the alien ship, the deep ocean feels like another planet. Kiera agreed. Maybe that's why the ship chose to hide here. It's one of the few places humans rarely reach. June lowered them deeper into the trench. The walls rose around them again, sharp and tall, like the bones of a giant creature. The darkness seemed endless. Then the scanner beeped. The familiar pulse had returned. A slow, calm wave ran across the monitors, steady and perfect. Kiera felt it inside her chest immediately, almost like her heart remembered the rhythm before her mind did. It senses us, she whispered. Naya adjusted the display, signal strength increasing. It knows we're back. June pointed ahead. Look, through the front window. Faint light shimmered like distant lanterns. The closer they came, the brighter it became, until the alien ship once again emerged from the darkness, glowing softly like a sleeping star. Kiera pressed her hand to the glass, her breath catching. The ship looked exactly as before, massive, curved, elegant. The patterns on its hull glowed with gentle waves that danced across the metal. The opening that had formed yesterday remained visible, still lit with soft white light like a waiting doorway. June steadied the sub. We're at the entrance. Everyone stared. The opening felt impossibly peaceful, as if the ship was patiently welcoming them, not forcing or pressuring, but simply waiting. Kiera broke the silence. Suit up. They put on their helmets, locked their suits, and checked their seals. Each person looked to Kiera, waiting for her signal. She took a slow breath, then nodded. June opened the exit hatch, and the small airlock filled with cold water. One by one, they floated out into the trench, descending carefully toward the glowing doorway. The closer they came, the stronger the pulse grew. It was still gentle, still warm, but now it carried a hint of something else, something like anticipation, almost like joy. Kiera's heart raced, and the pulse shifted slightly, syncing with her again. It's responding to you, Naya said over the comms. Kiera didn't answer. She felt swallowed by the moment. The edges of the doorway glowed brighter as she approached, as if the ship recognized her presence. She reached the entrance first. Inside, the corridor stretched forward like a smooth tunnel made of pale light and flowing lines. It was silent, yet not empty. The air or whatever filled the space felt calm. The lights glowed in soft waves, never harsh, never flickering. Kiera touched nothing. She simply waited. When the others joined her, she stepped inside. Her boots made no sound. The floor was smooth and slightly warm, as though the ship breathed out gentle heat. The walls lit up as they moved, glowing brighter near their hands and feet. David whispered, awestruck. "It feels alive." Solana added, "But not in a biological way. More like awake." Kiera walked slowly, each step steady and controlled. The soft lights guided them forward. The corridor widened into a circular chamber with tall walls that curved smoothly overhead. It felt like stepping into the inside of a vast seashell, glowing in soft white tones. At the center of the chamber was a raised platform, with strange patterns swirling across it. Kiera approached it. "This is the heart of the ship," she murmured. As if responding to her words, the platform glowed brighter. A gentle hum filled the chamber, like distant wind or the low tone of a musical instrument. Naya scanned the air. Energy readings are rising, but nothing is dangerous. David leaned closer to the platform. "It looks like something should be here. Maybe a person? Or a core?" Kiera placed a hand on her chest. That strange weight, the same one she felt yesterday, grew stronger. She stepped toward the platform. The glow followed her movement like a petal responding to sunlight. "Kiera," Rafiq's voice came through softly from the comms on the ship above. "Your signals are rising. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she said gently. "The ship is reacting to me again." As she placed her gloved hand on the platform, the entire chamber brightened. The glow ran down the walls, across the floor, and spiraled upward like streams of starlight. The hum deepened into a soft vibration that moved through her suit. June and Naya stepped back, watching with wide eyes. Solana held a scanner, but seemed too stunned to read it. Kiera felt warmth under her palm, not heat, but something deeper, something emotional. A wave of feeling washed over her. Not fear, not warning, recognition. The glow thickened, forming a small sphere of light above the platform. It floated gently, almost shyly, as if testing the air around it. The sphere pulsed softly, mirroring Kiera's heartbeat exactly. June whispered, "Is it alive?" The sphere drifted upward, then moved toward Kiera with slow, graceful motion. She didn't step back. Her instincts told her there was no danger, only curiosity. The sphere stopped a short distance from her helmet. Soft waves of light shimmered from it like warm breaths. Then, in a moment so quiet it felt unreal, the sphere touched the front of her helmet. A gentle flash filled her vision. She gasped. Her breath caught in her chest. She saw shapes she couldn't describe, images made of light and memory. Not words, not pictures, feelings, loneliness, waiting, hope. She felt the weight of time, long and heavy, pressing like deep water. She saw glimpses of stars she had never known, spaces beyond human maps. Then she saw a shape, a memory from the sphere's past. A tall figure made of light, touching a similar platform in the same chamber. The figure glowed with calm strength. With purpose, the memory faded, and Kiera felt the sphere's attention gentle, soft, almost like a greeting. "Kiera," Naya called through the comms. "Your vitals spiked." Kiera blinked slowly. "I'm okay. It communicated with me." "Ah! Ah! 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 Ah!" Solana stared. "How? Did it speak?" "No," Kiera said softly. "It shared feelings. Memories." June stepped closer. "What does it want?" "You." Kiera placed a hand on her chest again, breathing slowly. "It was waiting for someone. Not me specifically, but someone who feels familiar to it. Someone, human." The sphere drifted back, then pulsed once, bright and warm. Kiera understood. It needs our help. The others exchanged confused looks. What help? David asked. Kiera looked around the glowing chamber, then back at the sphere. This ship came here to hide, she said softly. It came to protect something. Or escape something. And it's been waiting for someone to wake it. We having today. We having to wake. We having to wake. We having to wake. The sphere pulsed again, this time stronger. Kiera felt the meaning behind it. Not danger, but urgency. It's not alone, she whispered. Something else is coming. Something that followed it. June's voice tightened. Something hostile? Kiera closed her eyes. The feelings she sensed weren't violent, but they carried tension. Fear. A need to warn. I don't know, she said honestly. But whatever it is, this ship needs us. And I think humanity might need it too. The sphere rose higher, glowing brighter, filling the chamber with soft white light that wrapped around them like a gentle embrace. Kiera felt a connection, deep and ancient, linking her heartbeat with the ship's pulse. It felt like a beginning. A new chapter. And deep in the trench, the ship glowed brighter than ever before, as if finally waking after a long sleep. Above them, far past the darkness of the ocean, something faint shimmered in the upper atmosphere. A distant signal. A new presence approaching Earth. Kiera didn't know what it was, but she felt the sphere's message clearly. The world was about to change. The wreck glowed underwater like something alive pulsed within its hull. Captain Alara Dane hovered above the dark expanse of the sea, the lights from her submersible barely cutting through the murky water. She had spent years studying shipwrecks, yet nothing prepared her for the sight before her. The outline was familiar but impossible, a vessel that, according to every historical record, should have been lost centuries ago. And yet, here it was, radiant and untouched, as if time had ignored it entirely. The submersible hummed softly, its sonar probing the surroundings. Shadows of marine life flickered past, curious and cautious, drawn to the strange glow. Ilara felt a shiver of excitement. This wasn't just a wreck, it was a discovery that could change everything humanity thought it knew about the past, about the ocean, maybe even about themselves. Her fingers moved over the control panel, adjusting the lights. The closer she approached, the more intricate the details became. The hull wasn't corroded like the usual wrecks. Instead, it shimmered with patterns that seemed alive, flowing and shifting like liquid metal. Tiny pulses radiated from its surface, almost like it was breathing. Ilara took a deep breath, steadying her nerves. This is unbelievable, she whispered to herself. She activated the external cameras, sending live footage back to the research ship above. The crew gasped at the image, their voices trembling over the comms. Dr. Kale, the lead historian on board, muttered, "That hull. It shouldn't exist. The records say it was destroyed in the northern storm centuries ago. There's no way." "No way," Ilara finished for him. "Yet here it is, and it's alive." As they circled the wreck, a sudden pulse shot through the water, gentle but undeniable. The submersible's instruments went haywire, screens flickering with strange readings. The glow intensified, brighter than anything Ilara had ever seen underwater. A low hum filled the cabin, vibrating through the metal of the submersible. "Captain, the hull is responding," Kale said, voice tight. "It's like it knows we're here." Ilara's eyes narrowed. She had read about bioluminescent organisms, about magnetically reactive metals. But this was different. It was intelligent, and as the glow spread, shapes began to form on the hull geometric lines, patterns that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. Her chest tightened with both fear and awe. Suddenly, a section of the hull opened. Not like a door swinging on hinges, but as if the metal itself parted. Fluid and organic, light poured out in ribbons, illuminating the dark water like a sunrise underwater. Through the opening, Ilara could see inside. Corridors, rooms, machinery that hummed and glowed, operating as if untouched by time. Her heart raced. "We need to get inside," she said, determination firming her voice. Kale hesitated, but curiosity overcame caution. They navigated the submersible through the opening. As they entered, the glow enveloped them, warm and almost comforting, yet full of power. Inside, the wreck was unlike anything humanity had built. Surfaces were smooth and reflective, yet alive with movement. Lights pulsed along the walls, creating a soft rhythm that seemed synchronized with their own nervous systems. In the central chamber, they found what looked like a control room, but the instruments were strange, organic, yet mechanical. Symbols shifting across panels in patterns that suggested intelligence. Alara reached out, brushing her fingers against one of the panels. A shock of energy ran through her. Not painful, but vivid. Images flashed in her mind, scenes of the past, of oceans teeming with life, of ships and cities and stars. She stumbled back, gasping. "Captain!" Kale's voice was urgent. "Are you okay?" Alara nodded slowly, trying to make sense of what she had just seen. It's showing me history. Not just human history, but the history of this planet, maybe even beyond. The submersible's sensors detected a movement outside. Shadows shifted, shapes darting past the glowing hull. Marine life, but unlike anything catalogued before, creatures that seemed partially metallic, partially organic, moving with intelligence. One lingered near the opening, watching them with what felt like awareness. Alara steadied her nerves. "We're not alone down here," she said. "Whatever built this, it's still here, somehow." Kale swallowed hard. Should we leave?" Alara shook her head. "No, we've come too far. If we leave now, humanity will never know. We need to understand what this is, what it wants, why it's here." The submersible continued deeper into the wreck. The corridors twisted in impossible ways, seemingly aware of their movements, guiding them toward the central core. There, in a vast chamber, stood a structure that resembled a living engine, throbbing with energy. It was beautiful and terrifying, radiating intelligence. Alara's voice trembled with awe. "It's a mind." Kale stared in disbelief. "A machine mind? Or something else?" The engine pulsed in response, lights flowing toward them like tendrils of consciousness. A voice, not spoken but felt within their minds, reached out. "Welcome." Alara and Kale froze. The feeling was warm but intense, a presence that filled the room and their thoughts simultaneously. "You are the first of your kind to arrive. You may learn. You may survive. You may change." Alara swallowed hard, heart racing. We will learn," she whispered, unsure if the entity could hear her out loud or within her mind. The glow around them pulsed stronger, almost in rhythm with their own heartbeat. Images continued to flash, worlds beyond their own, stars being born, civilizations rising and falling. The wreck was not just a ship. It was a repository, a guardian of knowledge spanning millennia. Kale's voice trembled. "If this is real, if it's truly intelligent, humanity has never faced anything like this. We need to be careful. We can't assume it's friendly just because it speaks." Alara nodded, her resolve hardening. "We proceed with respect. Curiosity must be tempered with caution. But we cannot turn away. We've found something extraordinary." As they explored further, the ship pulsed again, and the water around them seemed to hum with energy. The creatures outside the hull swam closer, curious but non-threatening. Alara realized the wreck had adapted to its environment, existing in harmony with the ocean itself. It was not a weapon, it was a protector, a teacher. And somewhere deep within, a pulse resonated, a signal, or perhaps an invitation. "Come closer. Learn. Choose." Alara exchanged a look with Kale. They had crossed a threshold. What lay ahead could change everything humanity believed about life, intelligence, and the universe. The wreck glowed brighter, beckoning them onward into mysteries older than time itself. For the first time in her life, Alara Dane felt both utterly small and infinitely powerful, knowing that humanity's future might very well begin here, beneath the glowing waves of an ancient, living ship.